Hey guys, what's going on? It's John. It's been a while since I did one of those videos, but today we're gonna make one of those new videos. A lot has been going on in my own personal life and professional life, and we'll talk about it in this video. Also, I'll give you 5 tips that I would give my own self if I could go back in time and say, hey, this is what you need to be a good developer. So stay tuned. Hey guys, so as I said, my name is John. It's been a minute since I did one of those videos. A lot has changed. Let's start professionally. So I was in a situation I didn't like. I was an employee. I wasn't very happy with what was going on in the company I was in. I hated the rat race. So I decided to branch off and start my own company, Lemonade Software Inc. So we basically do a lot of web development, mobile stuff, industrial. We've worked with pharmaceuticals at this point. We've worked with veterinary labs and a variety of other manufacturers. On my personal life, I've actually decided to slowly become a digital nomad. For those people that don't know what that is, there'll be another video that will talk about what a digital nomad is and what the process of becoming one is. I'm actually right now, as I'm speaking, I am located in Argentina, Buenos Aires, the capital. So I've been developing for roughly almost 8 years. I would be categorized as a intermediate / senior developer. I mainly develop in a .NET stack. So that means I do C#, VB, SQL, JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. That's mainly if you want to be a web developer. So realistically, there's 3 types of developers in general, and one of them is really a combination of the other 2. So the first one is a front-end developer. These are very broad terms, but a front-end developer is usually the person that builds the front end. So a lot of the JavaScript and CSS and HTML sort of thing. If you're doing WPF, they're the ones that are actually creating the event for the buttons. And a lot of the smaller things. It's a very broad term. The back-end developer is actually usually the one that handles part of the business logic that's being handed over from the front-end developer right before it touches the server, so your database. That's what I categorize as a back-end developer. So they grab that handoff and they do basically the CRUD, right? So the create, the read, the update, and delete functions into the database. And then you have your full stack developer, which is the guy that basically goes from beginning of designing the program all the way into the database aspect of it. Like I said, this is a very, very broad term, and a lot of times, depending on the company, those definitions change. Sometimes backend also includes database architecture. Sometimes the front end is also doing the back end. It's a very broad term in general used in this industry. 5 tips that I would give myself if I could go back in time. Don't wait. Start learning and start applying. You'll be surprised. With just a little bit of knowledge, you are able to get a junior position. A lot of people get scared by the idea of getting a junior position, but what it really means is that you have enough capacity to do a little bit of work and learn. That's the biggest thing, learn. So just start applying. Tip number 2, start freelancing. Freelance is as simple as putting out an ad on Craigslist saying that you can create websites. It's very common for new developers, especially the ones that are leaning towards web development, to actually start putting out websites. Either freelance for paid, which would be the ideal situation where you're putting out these websites for, a couple of $100, or you are freelancing, volunteering basically for non-for-profit or your local church or anything like that. Just start working. The more you work, the more comfortable you're gonna get with the technology, the more you're gonna be able to acquire new jobs, and word of mouth is gonna take you a long way. Number 3, I think this is the most important one of all. Learn to learn. It sounds kind of weird, but in this industry, you're constantly having to learn new technologies, new concepts. So start learning for the sake of learning. Tip number 4, we've all been there, where we are unsure of how to do something, where we just don't know how to focus ourselves in tackling that problem. And it's okay. The reality is that anywhere from a junior all the way to a senior, believe me, you're gonna spend a good amount of time on Google and Stack Overflow. They are your best friends, they're your biggest resource. And it's important to check those before you request for help from your senior developers. They are busy people and they want to see that you're able and capable to resolve some of these issues by yourself without them holding your hands. That's where you're going to start distinguishing yourself from just a junior to an intermediate to a senior position. Okay, so start getting used to just Googling and checking Stack Overflow. So yeah, they're your best friends, and bookmark them. And my last step, and this is a really big one for that person that is not yet even a junior. They are the ones that are trying to get into the industry. Either you are fresh out of college or university, or you've decided to go the route of not going to a formal education. You're self-taught. I fall somewhere in the middle. That will be a complete other video. But yeah, so if you're somewhere in that point where you're trying to get into a spot, into a junior position, consistency is the number one thing. Consistency. So what does that mean? Decide on a project that you want to make and work on it every day. You don't have to work on it for hours, non-stop, but try to put in 30 minutes every day. Try to push every day, because every day you're putting a little bit of water into an empty glass, and eventually, guess what? You'll be a full glass of water. And that also will give you something to showcase when you go to job interviews and say, hey, listen, I created this application. I don't have an experience formally, but I have this application that does A, B, and C. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you found this video helpful. If you like, please subscribe. We have tons of videos coming along. We're gonna make a video about being a digital nomad, about traveling in COVID, how to set up VPNs, things that digital nomads and IT people in general just should know, especially if in this new age of basically location independence. Okay, so I hope to see you again and see you later.